If you've got lung cancer, stomping on cigarette cartons isn't gonna change your condition. It's not. You got lung cancer. You need to figure out how to fix that issue before it gets worse. Okay? Suing the cigarette company, burning a bunch of cigarettes, throwing them in the water doesn't change what's happening now. Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Bolo, and I'm coming to you with another video for educational purposes only. So today, I'm gonna be talking about something because there was a very terrible tragedy that happened where a young man was stabbed to death over nothing. And the reason why I want to make a video about this is because me and my brother, this very morning, getting out of the gym, was talking about this exact thing. Where the perceived, not actual disrespect, just the perceived disrespect when it comes to, especially in the black community, could be a death sentence. Okay, and this young man got, killed, unfortunately. And I want to talk about just the root issues of why these things go on and why it doesn't get better. So there's this guy right here, a super far lefty hottie that I know in real life, posted this, and he's a smart dude, but he also has an agenda. Garrison Hayes, you could tell he's one of these black dudes that grew up in a nice community. He feels disconnected from his blackness and overcompensates, and he's going to point out some things that are true 1000%, but he's also going to be just as deceptive as the guy he's trying to debunk. Well, let's get into the video, and I'm going to break everything down further.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do. They commit more murders, they commit more arsons, they commit more kidnappings. For example, blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Okay, let's talk about it. These are obviously racist claims, but I will respond.
It's not a racist claim, even if he's wrong. If he misquoted stats, it doesn't mean it's a racist claim. Like, that's right there, we're starting off on the wrong foot. We can't have honest conversation when just bringing up numbers, even if you misquoted them or misunderstood them, doesn't mean it's racist.
To them as if Charlie Kirk were a reasonable person.
Black Americans are about 13 to 14% of the population.
Yes,
about half of all prisoners are black.
Wrong. Just 38% of America's prison population is black. That's according to the US government. But it makes you wonder why Charlie feels the need to add an additional 12% to the black prison population. Could it be because his bigoted talking points only work if he exaggerates them? If Charlie were actually
No. Was he wrong? 1000%. It actually is only 38%. But here's the thing, whether it's 38 or 50, it's not a good thing when you're only 13% of the population. We're still talking about almost triple your population. You are far grossly overrepresented in the prison population. Just because it didn't go to 4 times doesn't mean 3 times isn't a bad thing. So like I said, was he wrong? Yes, but does the point still stand? Absolutely. 3 times your population. Tell me, in what world is that okay?
looking for the race that makes up half the prison population in the US, he'd look no further than white people at 57%.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes than whites do.
Wrong. The word "so" is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that sentence.
Exactly.
So blacks commit more crimes.
He's saying "so" as in therefore, as in one could conclude, but Charlie knows he's lying. Even if he hadn't just lied about the black prison population, Charlie is smart enough to know that correlation does not equal causation, but he's hoping that you don't know that. So he deploys the word "so" to make you think he's coming to an obvious conclusion.
Exactly.
So blacks...
Instead, he's making an illogical, racist leap. Charlie knows that we don't have usable data about who commits crimes. It's impossible to have that data since so many crimes go both unreported and or unsolved. Charlie knows that we only have data about arrests and convictions. I'll come back to that data in a moment. What's painfully obvious is that Charlie Kirk isn't interested in understanding the statistics he so carelessly misquotes. He's interested in making bad faith arguments. Something
I would agree with that. Charlie Kirk, I mean, to me, he's a slime ball. And he is trying to infer certain things without actually backing them statistically. But here's the other thing. Although white people definitely make up 56% of the prison population, they are also 58%. We're talking about white people, not like, you know, Spanish white. We're talking about like white people, like white, you know what I mean? Are 58%. So yes, they are 56%, but their representation in the prison population goes down from their overall population. That counts for something. That shows that there is a problem more in one community than the other. When you're 13% but have 38%, that's far different and far worse than being 58% and dropping down to 56. We also have to be honest about that. Okay? Like, let's be honest here. We're talking about basically 3 times your population compared to going down.
That becomes even more obvious in his next point.
Blacks are 13% of the population and they commit 58% of all the murders.
Wrong again, and loud this time. If Charlie were interested in honesty, he would have mentioned the other 1350 statistic. Yes, black people are about 13% of the population, but make up 53% of all criminal exonerations. In fact, black people make up 55% of all murder exonerations. Specifically, black people are more likely than any other group in this country to be convicted of crimes they did not commit. And then people like you have the nerve to parade these stats around as though they prove something. The reality is that you probably know these stats, but you leave them out on purpose, because to bring that stat into this conversation would make some people think. And that's the last thing a person like you wants.
Okay, so he's doing exactly what he alleges Charlie Kirk of doing, because if we're going to be honest about this, do black people have the most exonerations? Yes, obviously the stats show it. The stats bear it out. 55% of all exonerations for murder are for black people. But we also have to say one thing. Well, 2 actually. 1, someone was still murdered. 2, the actual perpetrator was never caught. What we can also assume is that in these certain communities, the chances are the person that did the crime was still black. Okay, I doubt in downtown Chicago, all these kids that are getting shot down, they've just got these rogue white kids, Tyler and coming through killing these people. So yes, a black person was exonerated and found not guilty after all. But do you think the person that actually did it was a black or white or Indian or something like that? When the cops get the description of the person, is going to say black male. So you're being dishonest here. It's not like, oh, well, they weren't found guilty, so I guess no one killed this person. Or maybe it was a white person. Like, let's be honest here. That's how I know he didn't grow up in these neighborhoods, because we know what goes down. And the reason they got exonerated was not because they were just totally innocent people that were just, you know, going to work at McDonald's and was coming home and got picked up for a murder. No, a lot of these people that were exonerated live by a code. You do not snitch, you do not tell, you take whatever's thrown at you. Probably one of their close friends did it. They know the guy that did it. Okay? They live a life. Just because they might not have killed that person doesn't mean they're a totally innocent individual. They're not just some person, you know, carrying around the mail and then coming home and having a beer. Okay, I've never been picked up. You know why? Because I'm not in those circles where murders are happening left and right. Okay, that's why no one ever mistakenly brought me to prison for murder. Okay, let's be honest about this. But so the reason why I pointed this video out is because this apologetic attitude towards things, trying to make excuses for things, is the reason why it will never ever get solved. Instead of saying, yeah, we've got a problem, he's like, no, but you know, we're actually only 3 times the population in prison as opposed to our free population, our total population. Like, that doesn't sound good. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, look, we've got a problem, we need to fix it, it's, oh, but look, white people too. If your kid came to you and said, and got an F, you know, and flunked out of school or failed a bunch of classes, and they said, well, Tyshawn failed, you wouldn't say, oh, well, in that case, I guess it's okay. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's like, no, you need to fix your shit. I don't care about what other people are doing. There's an issue that we need to solve. Point blank, period. And I don't care about what happened in the 1930s. I don't give a shit. If you've got lung cancer, stomping on cigarette cartons isn't gonna change your condition. It's not. You got lung cancer. You need to figure out how to fix that issue before it gets worse. Okay? Suing the cigarette company, burning a bunch of cigarettes, throwing them in the water, doesn't change what's happening now. Okay, so you can save all your, well, the white people was redlining us and, you know, oh, I don't care. That's irrelevant right now. Okay, so you got this young man, young kid right here. Man was stabbed to death in the heart at a high school track meet, died in his twin's arms. And you know why? Not because of real disrespect. He wasn't called a nigga or nothing like that. He asked the kid to move from a seat. 10 a.m. people are getting stabbed in the heart. 17-year-old kids. Dying in his twin's arms, man. Metcalf said his son didn't know the student who attacked him and that Austin's twin brother, Hunter, was nearby when the confrontation took place and not only saw his brother get stabbed, but tried to stop the bleeding. Austin, he says, was born 2 minutes before his brother Hunter. The two were inseparable. They were twins, identical twins, and his brother was holding on to him, trying to make it stop bleeding, and he died in his arms, in his brother's arms. I rushed up there and I saw him on the gurney and I could tell. They said he wasn't breathing. I could see all the blood and I saw where the wound was, and I was very concerned. So I had to find his brother and we rushed to the hospital and we prayed, and it's God's plan. I hate that saying, sidebar. I don't understand it, but they weren't able to save him. This is murder. Absolutely. Jeff Metcalf said his son had a 4.0, was the MVP of the football team and had a bright future. And it was all taken away because of an over-emotional, never held accountable young black man. And I guarantee you, his mother is an absolute piece of dog shit that is also never held accountable. Let these women run amok, run crazy, and you give them all kinds of excuses. When the kid is a basketball player and he makes it to the league, becomes a big rapper, all of a sudden she did it by herself, she made it work. But then when the kid is a piece of shit like this, all of a sudden she had no control, you know. No. I lived in these communities. I see what these women do. They out partying, they leaving their kids for the whole weekend at their mama's house, their grandmother's house. That's what the fuck is going on. He was on the right track. He was loved by many. He was a leader. Not trying to judge, but what kind of parents did he have? Shitty ones. Duh. What was he taught? Nothing. Probably taught to be violent, to be quite honest. I mean, one of the best boxers, his mother would literally make him go fight other kids. He was just one of the lucky ones where he just had an incredible talent and it was turned in the right direction. He brought a knife to a track meet and he murdered my son by stabbing him in the heart. The guy was in the wrong place and they asked him to move and he bowed up. This is murder. Absolutely. You know what? I already forgive this person. I wouldn't. You're better than me. Already, God takes care of things. God is going to take care of me. God is going to take care of my family. Dude, I feel sorry for you. You and your family had a loss because of some piece of shit. That kid probably has no direction, nothing going on. Sits on the block. I bet you if you go through his Instagram page, it's going to be something you don't want to look at. And this kid with a bright future, it's over. Frisco's police said they arrested and charged 17-year-old Carmelo Anthony. Wow, what a name. Metcalf's murder. Police said Anthony's bond has not been set, and it's unclear if he's obtained an attorney to speak on his behalf. The Frisco Police Department grieves with all those affected by this devastating loss and extends its deepest condolences to the family, victims, students, and staff who are experiencing unimaginable pain. The department said Wednesday afternoon this department is collaborating with the Frisco Independent School District and will continue to provide any support they need during this incredibly difficult time. I feel for you, brother. I mean, what can I say, man? You lost your son. Kid was, you know, he was going to continue your legacy, and it looked like he wasn't going to be a huge disappointment and a stain on your family name, and it was robbed by a terrible human being. But something else, why I want to talk about as I continue, I'm sorry if this video feels long-winded, but it is what it is. This is what I feel like posting. This guy right here, like I said, if I were to go through his background, he probably grew up in a really good neighborhood, very nice schools, and that's why he's making all these excuses, because he never actually has to deal with this kind of shit. He just looks at stats and stories, and that's what he goes with. Now you have someone like here, right? Mason Betha, Harlem, New York, grew up thugging, rapping, all that. And this is what a lot of people, Charles Barkley grew up in, you know, a very rough part of town, all that.
First thing black people do when they don't get a shot is yell racism. You know, it ain't always racism. Like you said, Mo, sometimes you just don't want to be around niggas. I know I definitely don't want to be around niggas, so I concur. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even in denial about it. Some people are in denial about it. I 100% emphatically, most earnestly don't want to be around niggas. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll be around Killer. Killer's my nigga, but I'm not the guy, you know? I don't like the nigga behavior. You got to watch where your clothes are. You got to watch if all your watches is in the bag. You got to watch it. If your jewelry is still in the safe, you know what I'm saying? I don't have time to be looking over my shoulder for everything and doing everything for everybody, and then the moment one thing go wrong, it's like you did none of the 99 things you just did, you know? First thing.
See, that's somebody that has grew up witnessing it his whole life. Cameron, his boy, literally made a video very similar to this. You can see countless videos of guys like this that say, look, I don't want to be around these people. It gets crazy for the smallest thing. And me and my brother were talking about it this morning. Just perceived, not actual disrespect, not an N-bomb, even though I wouldn't condone that kind of response for that either. But I'm just saying, it's not even real disrespect where it's like, yo, I called your mama a B or whatever it is. Like, he asked him to move. Like, yo, can you move over, man? That's all it takes. You step on someone's shoes in the wrong neighborhood, that could be the end of your life. We need to address this shit for real. We need to stop making stupid fucking little videos or we're actually only 38% of the prison population, not 50. Nigga, that don't change a goddamn thing. We're still only 13%, brother. That is still 3 times. What are you talking about? What are we talking about here, bro? Stop making excuses. But yeah, man, rest in peace to that young man. I feel for that family. My condolences. You know, obviously all you can do is move on and hope this kid gets put away for a very, very, very long fucking time, as long as possible. But it is what it is. Let me know what your thoughts on the comments below. I'm out.